you, but I knew in that moment, if he didn't get on board, we probably wouldn't be working. We wouldn't have worked out.
And I knew in that moment, if I didn't get on board, she would leave my ass.
Anyone who is told to do something, it's a natural thing to be like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. You wouldn't feel triggered if the gun wasn't already loaded.
When I first learned that, it actually has everything to do with me, it's a really sobering moment as far as like, whoa, this is not how I live my life.
And I was like, she's really hot and laughs at all my jokes, so I'm going to do whatever she wants me to do. All right, we are doing another jam session, and if you notice, things look a little different. We are professional now.
Are we legit podcasters now?
We are podcasters now.
It happens.
So. Shout out to our man, Jay Buchanan. He set us up with these amazing things. He's also, for the last 38 jam sessions, been doing our editing. So we do the videos here, we give it to him, and he makes it look beautiful. So shout out, Jay.
Jay might know us more than anyone.
He knows us very well.
Every word of 38 episodes.
3 to 4 times, so he knows us very, very well. So again, thank you, Jay, for all that you do. So yeah, we're here and we're doing this jam session number 39. I'm really excited because these jam sessions, me and Monica were talking before this, like these sessions are conversations that we have a lot with clients that go through REV, and it's all about helping people to feel more connected, to live a happier and healthier life. But also for us, we believe so deeply in the body's innate ability to heal. And when we have these conversations, it just reaffirms that for other people. And this is really for people that want to have more out of their life. So like for people that maybe go through REV, you know that, but if you don't go to REV, you don't necessarily know that. So like this is what these conversations are about. So
and these conversations are outside of the office because in the office we're focused. It's actually just a completely quiet environment.
Silent.
We're speaking with our hands and with our intention, basically. We have conversations in the rooms one-on-one. But this is all stuff that we do outside of the office and all these things that we want to share with our people, with our community, that we don't share in the office because the intention is different in the space, basically. So this is fun and to share our personalities and our authenticity and just all the things.
And for today, we're going to be doing something that me, Monica, and Erica did a few weeks ago when Loren was in Vipassana doing her meditation. This is going to be more of like a round robin style. So we're not going to focus on just one thing. We're going to focus on a few different subjects of different things that are happening only, around us, but things we talk about a lot in the office. So that's going to be today. But before we do that, I want to always start this off also with events that are coming up. We're entering the spring season, so we have a lot of events coming up. So Monica, kick us off and share with the good people what's coming up for REV.
We be booming this month.
We be booming.
So starting, our first actual event is actually going to be April 7th. By the time this airs, it's already going to be out. It's actually our launch date for our immersion, which is happening May 31st, that we are
so
ecstatic about. And it's going to be launching just to our members. So they have a whole week to book, to basically get their spot before it's launched to the public, because there's only 30 spots available. So we wanted to give our members the first dibs, basically. And then April 14th will be launched to the public. So if you do not live in Chattanooga, this is a perfect opportunity to come to Chattanooga, meet us in person, really be immersed and really rewiring and recreating your story through working with the nervous system. And also there's going to be movement, breath work, integration sessions, yummy snacks, and connection and things like that. We're pumped for that. So that's going to be May 31st. So leading up to that, we have launch dates of when those tickets drop. And then April 23rd is going to be our social, which we're excited about all these things.
Yeah.
But our social is going to be at 50/50 Wine Bar in Chattanooga downtown. And it's a time for people to come together, to connect with us, connect with each other. Because a lot of people that are members at REV, they say they're like the only one like themselves in their community. Like they live on an island basically. So like they're the only person that is making changes in their life maybe, or they're being mindful, and everyone around them, maybe they don't have the symptoms that they had to lead them to where they are today. So they feel kind of alone on this journey. And this is a time to bring everyone together. And we have people, you say this a lot, people ask us to like
every week.
It happened literally today. So I'm going to take you guys to dinner. I was like,
let's
actually,
let's just go get lunch.
That's what this was inspired by too, because not only, yes, we get to connect with people, especially like we get to see people one-on-one and we know everyone's stories. And I'm like, oh, you would be great to meet up with this person, but you guys don't know each other yet. So it's just a beautiful space to do that.
Yeah.
And we're going to do a super fun raffle when we're there. And so I'll give you guys the 3 things that we're raffling off. So one will be a $600 credit for REV. So REV sessions towards your membership. That's going to be a big one, a hot commodity. And our second one is actually going to be a free immersion ticket. I'm really excited about that one. And the last one will be a gift card to 50/50. So bring a friend. Every friend you bring is actually an additional raffle ticket. And then we may have some fun things to do there to get you more raffle tickets. But it's going to be, a big banger.
I'm really excited about this.
This
because
was Matt's idea.
Well, it wasn't necessarily just my idea because we all came a part of this. But like I always want to do some sort of big event. And we did big events last year. But it's not feasible to always do that. And we're also want to be mindful of like sharing education and doing our deep dives and really giving people value. And so this was just a beautiful opportunity for us to be like, hey, we're not going to do any education. Yeah, the new people, maybe we'll share a little bit about who we are. But this is also going to be just a time that if you enjoy wine, 50/50 Wine Bar is an amazing wine bar. They have other drinks as well and mocktails and non-cocktails there. But it's just going to be a good time for us to get together, meet people. But then also it's helping to benefit a nonprofit called the Sunrise Coalition that we've been a part of, which Loren's
I was going to
share.
say, and proceeds that night will be going to Sunrise Coalition, which is an amazing nonprofit started by one of our dear
really good
friends, just to help women have better access to holistic care and care that gets you on the front end of what's going on in your life rather than the back end. It's just a beautiful story. So
shout out Caitlin.
Excited
so
to support
fun.
them
I'm
too.
so excited.
And then our other event is going to be May 1st, a community breathworks. We haven't had one of those in probably several months.
Yeah.
And that's a big one because it's pay what you can. So it's like if you love breathwork, if you love creating shifts in your body, this is a good opportunity to come and experience a shift with other people. And what's that study about the crime rate with people who did stuff like this?
I'll get the percentages slightly off, but it was in Baltimore. Crime was going crazy. I think this is in the do you remember the 90s maybe? I forgot when it was, 20 plus years ago. And they got a group of meditators to meditate once a day together or even once a week for 20 minutes. And over the course of a short period of time, like a couple months, the crime rate went down like 30-40%. And it was just like an amazing study. And they also did it a couple of different times. So it was people coming together. And we always say that it's like the more that we have in the field, the more that we create a greater coherence, the greater change that we can have.
And that's why we adjust together, multiple people at once. When people hear that, it's not just random that we have multiple people doing integration sessions at once. It enhances the healing process. So that's why the community breathwork is a similar tone, basically, with everyone together.
I think you can actually feel it too. Like we've done breathworks, or at least I have, with like one person, one-on-one, and I'm like, this is palpable. When we do this with like 50 people in here, this room is buzzing.
I mean,
for
imagine
days
like
after
50
sometimes.
people coming into one space with the intention of connection and love and healing. Like the more of that just trickles.
Yeah. We also, we have a service here, the neurointegration process that, it's not free for people. People pay for our services, but there are also like a lot of people here in Chattanooga that can't necessarily afford the amount of care that they need. One, that's why we love Sunrise Coalition, because trying to help a lot of families and women that need that. And then we do this class as kind of the give back to the community. So again, like Monica said, it is pay what you can. If you can pay $1,000, we'll take it. We appreciate it. But if you can only pay $5, pay that $5 for that energetic exchange, and we most likely are going to put most of those proceeds back into Sunrise Coalition as well. So it's a great event. And so anything else, Mon?
No, that's
cool.
it. We
All
can't
right.
wait to see you. We're going to do a lot of events in April and May, and then we usually take a little bit of a summer break. So now is the time to pull out those calendars and invest into yourself by like putting it down. Like that's what it is for me. I have a very full life, and I have to actually put it in my calendar if it's going to happen. It's not like, oh, that sounds great, I'm going to remember. I don't. And no one ever does. So this is just, if you are someone who maybe puts things off, this is a little nudge saying pull out those calendars and really make it happen, because you are worth all the changes that are going to come from any of these events, like any and all.
Also, we'll probably put our link. We have the link to the events
page,
in
yeah.
the description too. You
Absolutely.
can sign up online too.
Absolutely. Cool. All right, guys, let's go into our first round robin topic. Working title, maybe.
I like the
round robin. Yeah,
It is what it is.
It was
My
a
favorite
hot
style
takes,
podcast.
trending topics, round robin. Everyone seems to like round robin. So we got about 4 or 5 different things we want to talk about. And the first one is a unique perspective on how people trigger us, because a lot of people, 99% of the world, it's like, that person did this, and like, they're the worst, and they always point the finger outward. But when you point a finger, what happens? You point 3 or 4 fingers right back at you, right? So it's taking ownership and autonomy of your life. And so I want to talk about when people are going through this process or a healing journey and they're trying to let go and surrender and go through a healing process, that there will be people, and most of the time it's mostly close people to us, that will trigger something with us. And something that we have adopted in our life is the concept of mirrors, that whoever's in front of you, whatever they say, whatever they do, they are a mirror and reflection for you to really look at your stuff, right? And so let's talk about mirrors, and when someone triggers you, what is that, and how do we begin navigating that?
And also, this was a question from one of our clients. So if you guys have any questions, please drop them in the comments. We got a bunch of things around here. We would love to answer these for you. But this was from a client, and I feel like it's really real for that reason too.
Yep.
And also, I got to say too, like whenever you say that with the fingers, I've heard an analogy years ago that help me with this, Loren, you wouldn't feel triggered if the gun wasn't already loaded. And I think about that when something comes up, what emotion is coming out of you whenever you're feeling triggered, so to speak, that actually lived within you. And I just chatted with someone yesterday, and she was saying she's starting to feel things for the first time. She's starting to feel angry and sad. And she was like, I think I was so dysregulated, so disconnected before that nothing triggered me. Now I'm hypersensitive to it. And I was like, what a beautiful opportunity. Because when these things come up, it actually shows me a piece of myself that is more reactive, maybe sometimes more ugly than I would want to be, but that lived within me. So I take it extremely responsibly of like, what's this doing for me?
Yeah, totally.
And sometimes you can't figure it out in that moment. That's really frustrating, of like, you just blow up, and like, if you're seeing red, that's not the time to like, why is this triggering me? You're just going to feel it. But when you reflect back on it, it's a good thing. But it always comes back to like how you're feeling within yourself, on a day that you're seeing rainbows and butterflies and life's good, and someone does something and like, rolls off your back. And on a rougher day, it triggers you. That's okay. That's part of it. But I look at it as like a sign, like, oh, wow, that really triggered me. And it's a way to like kind of like check myself almost. Yeah.
For me, this is a journey in the making. I know that at the beginning, when you first learn that people are your mirrors, it's a hard thing to swallow, because it's so much easier to just point the finger, like you were saying, of just like, well, that person did that, so that's them, has nothing to do with me. And when I first learned that, it actually has everything to do with me, it's a really sobering moment, as far as like, whoa, this is not how I live my life at all. And this is how I want to live my life, because I actually see truth in it, that whatever someone says to me or does to me, it's for me. And so for a while, it took me, it's something to just really process and sit with at the beginning, especially because it can be like really hard to be like, why? But this person was really mean to me. What does that mean? And so at the beginning, I think to be gentle on yourself and your awareness that this is for you is really important. But now what it is for me is that for over a decade, I just like blew through all these personal development books and listened to podcasts as much as I could about health and healing and mindfulness and all these things. And now I actually use every single moment as my teacher. So whenever someone does something that rubs me the wrong way, I'm like, okay, there's something for me here. That way, every single moment, there's an opportunity for me to grow and to thrive from that, versus reading it from a book. Like this is actual, like
Real
tangible,
time.
real time participation.
Do you remember what it was like in the beginning though, when you started trying to make that shift? Like, okay, like I'm going to take ownership now. Like, was it something where it was like very easy for you, or was it a natural progression? Like for people that are wanting to do that, like what would be like the first step? Like just obviously looking at it and trying to change the mindset. Like any advice that you have for people, because that's a hard flip, because I am just now doing that, right? So it's been years of me like, someone's bothering me. Okay, what is that happening within myself?
You kind of have to decode a little bit, because sometimes it's not that obvious. I think it'd be cool if we talked about almost like real examples
Mhm.
or just, more practical, like how it comes up.
Maybe don't use names.
Yeah, no.
We have some real examples that we could
Like
share.
for me,
Billy.
I'll just be like really honest. Like for me, I would have like judgment to others, like, oh, I wouldn't do it this way, or like, I can't believe they're being like this, or blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it was just a really humbling thing of like, well, I most likely am judging myself, too harshly. And then it looks like it's somebody else, but it was something like, it took me a minute to decode because
Yeah.
you really can trick your brain into be like, oh, no, it's definitely not me. They're crazy. They're bad. They're wrong. But spending all that time, one, doesn't feel good for you. It doesn't make the situation change. And also, again, there's something there, but you kind of have to decode it a little bit. But to catch yourself, I think, is the number one.
I also think being gentle is important at the beginning when you're first learning these things. So let's say someone really triggers you. Let's say it's your mom or your best friend and they do something. Maybe don't be like instantly being like, this is because of me. I'm the problem. Maybe just be like, okay, I'm definitely triggered. I'm aware of it. 1. 2, maybe I'm going to sit with this and see if this is something that I need to shift within myself. I think the being patient with it is important versus the, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's maybe how I was at the beginning. And now I'm just kind of like, I'm just going to sit with this, table this for now. I don't have to respond or make a shift in this moment or react because that doesn't feel good either. Take a breath. It's going to be okay. But it's also for me.
I think of like, you said this too, Loren, like there's like a threshold within me, and wherever I'm at within myself, it's kind of like my nervous system is like glasses that I put on. And if I'm super stressed, super dysregulated, and someone says something minor to me, it might trigger me more than whenever I'm feeling really good about myself. But it's a really good check-in with what you're saying, Monica, of like, this is the threshold. And if I'm living right here, like right next to it, and this is spiking me over, what's going to come out of me in that conversation is not going to be gentle or graceful. So it actually has to start with me first of like curiosity. And actually that's where I really was having a hang up, even on my own personal journey of, I'm like, I feel close to threshold. I'm going to actually step a huge step back, deal with it all on my own. You deal with it all on your own. But I was feeling something was still in the air between me and whatever was going on. So I think there's a piece of like curiosity with it too, of just like, where am I at within myself? Do I feel this in my body anywhere? What's the emotion? And actually like labeling it actually takes away a lot of like the subconscious, I don't want to look at thisness, and puts us in that shoes of like, maybe I can be more giving or whatever it is too. So I think about that whenever it's for me, I'm just like, I just need to step back, but also stay curious and stay in there too.
Me and you are so similar, like the sitting with it and like the way you said sit with it, like I said it, this is new for me. I've always known the mirror thing, but it's like I always try to figure it out right then and there. Or I feel something, the Cuban in me wants to get through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and there's value. What'd you say?
I know.
Oh, she knows. Let's figure this out now. Yeah. But it's the sitting with it, being curious, and like Loren said, the good days and the bad days, you're going to respond differently. But I think what's really resonated with me even recently is like been a huge shift for me is that me and Monica can have a person, or me and Eric or whatever, have a person say something, act a certain way, be a certain way, and it doesn't bother her, but it bothers me. Like, why is that, right? It's still the same person, but at the end of the day, like that's how you understand, like it's yours. It's for you. It's your unintegrated pattern. It's not necessarily that person because, he or she isn't affected as well. So it's taken that realization, like it's sitting back and like, oh, okay, this person is acting this way and that's their own journey, right? But it's activating something with me. There must be something within me that's not fully healed, or it's a piece that I don't necessarily want to be that anymore, and it's still deep within. So it is a beautiful way to really like look at all those opportunities, as Monica says, like, what is this trying to teach me?
I think another hack too to get to that point is to stay, I think a friend told me this a while ago, to stay curious and compassionate. And so typically if you're triggered by someone, at the point of trigger, it's all their fault. And they're just the
Definitely.
worst. And you're way better than
Sometimes
them. Is that just me? No. But if you meet that person with curiosity and compassion, it's much easier to decode. It's much easier to see your relationship to it too, rather than like just the seeing red bit. So just like being curious about them, about you, and the situation helps too.
And also, when you said, how did I deal with it at the very beginning? I'm actually remembering, because I was like, how did I? I don't really know. This is how it is now. Now I remember. At the beginning, it was like this breath of fresh air. Like, Oh, thank God. I can actually have somewhat of a control of what happens to me versus before it was just like I was just living my life and things happen and I didn't even know to think about why it was happening.
Yeah.
And then I can actually switch it and be like, I can have awareness with it and look at it so that it can change in the quantum world, basically. But I had more skin in the game, I
Yeah.
guess. And I don't know. So
More
that I
empowering.
It's
actually
empowering,
liked,
yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, yay.
That's-
Like that was good for me.
Yeah.
That's very helpful for
Yeah.
people because that's like you don't want to like take that ownership, but then hearing that it's like okay, I can actually control this a little bit more, and
Yeah.
control maybe not be the
Yeah.
right
And think
word.
about the longer you live your days like that, that every day someone out there could potentially at any time trigger you. That's not very empowering, right?
Yeah.
But if, like you said, like you realize like, oh, I can do something about this and just stay consistent with that, you'll see the changes. It's much more empowering that way.
And also, if there's patterns within what's triggering you, this is the beauty of awareness. It's like, why, when anyone says this one thing, I'm really trying to think of examples. Why does it bother me this much? Okay, then if it is definitely a pattern, then it's absolutely something I can change. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's when I started to see patterns and I'm like, oh, if I just shift this one thing within me or heal this past wound or integrate this past experience, then that's not going to bother me. And at first it was theory. And then it became reality for me, and it's so empowering. I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this all the time, baby.
I mean, that's what we talk about, the integration process. Life is just better when we respond instead of react.
Yeah.
Just the overall life is a whole lot
Yeah.
better. Anything else?
I was going to say, I think also in the later part of the journey, these things start to surprise me actually when they come up. And if I'm living my life in a pretty balanced way, when something actually comes out of me, I'm like, oh my God, what is this? And I'm like, I want to look
This
at all of it.
ugliness.
Yeah, but it actually like shocks me so much that I'm like, this is something to look at. And whenever I start to look at it like that, I'm like, oh, this happened for me, not to me.
It's deep healing right there.
Yeah.
It's core healing. We're 20, 30, 40, 50. We've had 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 plus years of experiences.
Generations.
Yeah,
Generations.
you posted today, our nervous system was our mother's nervous system. So, and her mother's nervous system. So we've been taking all this information. So of course, things are going to come up along the way, which then leads us into the next subject. This comes up so often in REV. Someone comes under care here, or they start making shifts in their diet. They start having a better mindset, and they're like, this is the way. Mandalorian, this is the way, right? Like, I got to get everybody in my family to do this. But then partner, kids, close friend, someone in their life that they really want to change is not down for the ride. And that can be really, really challenging because you just want them to like feel healthier and feel better, right? And so a lot of times people will go through this process, and I just hit this mic because I'm not used to it. We'll go through this process and they're like, my husband, my wife, my friend, like they're not on the same path. They're not
mostly
they're not
the
moving
partner.
forward. And it's mostly
This
the
is like the
partner, right?
questions we get,
yeah.
I'm just trying to, encapsulate everybody. Mostly the partner. And the question is like, if I'm not on the same page, like, one, what do I do? How do I move through this? And how can I just love him or her through this and still keep moving my life forward? No answers.
I feel like
Who wants to take
Lauren should go. I have more of a radical take on it.
There's a few different
soften.
ways.
Let's go
There's
soft
a
first.
few different ways to go.
And I've completely flipped my opinion in the past 2 weeks about this exact topic. So
I think when you're first on the journey, one, just making it about you first is most important. And typically the person saying that is typically women. Like they're making the change first, and they're just natural, like, nurturing. They love, and they
Bring
want to
everyone
help
with
other people to
them.
feel so that they feel as good. And it's so, sweet, but also like in those early stages when you're feeling shifts and changes, keep making it about you. Because what happens is, and I tell people this all the time, like, oh, I want someone will come into REV, they feel great, they want their husband to come in, they want their kids, they want all these things. And I'm like, just keep living your path, keep doing what you're doing. People will notice your change. People will notice. And any kind of change too that happens, people have to make that decision themselves. We can't force it. And I think that's like first and foremost rule when someone starts to get that way. And this is the early stages typically, but just keep making it about you, keep making it about your changes. When you are more peaceful, you're feeling better, that is naturally going to spread. You don't have to do anything or force anyone to be that certain way. And that's like the level 1 answer. There's other like deeper growth moments in that, but I feel like if I could tell anyone in the beginning, just keep doing what you're doing to feel good, you'll see a natural change happen around you.
And that reminds me of a mentor we had in chiropractic school. She's extremely holistic, healthy living, doing all the things. And her husband and her got together in the very beginning of her becoming a chiropractor, before she really took on this health journey. And she said that they were kind of going in 2 different directions, almost to the point of a divorce. Like she was eating clean and moving her body and doing all this stuff, and he wanted to stay kind of in his own way. And she was like, it's been a 2-year process of me walking towards the light, is what she called it. She was like, I saw something within myself. I just kept walking. And we'll just say her husband's name's John. But she was like, I kept walking. And what I realized was John and I are entangled. John and I are connected. And the more she kept walking towards the light, the more he kept taking baby steps, like no more Diet Cokes in the house. So he was starting to drink other things. But what she was saying is it's such a disservice to yourself if you see this beautiful vision and version of what's to be, and you keep turning back, wasting a lot of energy trying to pull people where attention goes, energy flows. And she was like, the more I just actually kept walking towards the light, the more that he started to shift internally. And we see that time and time again with so many clients where they actually have a story like that, but it's a sense of, you married this person and you guys have similar values and you guys have a similar path. And it's actually just a huge lesson in trust for me.
And there's a couple scenarios that come up, right? There's one where you're doing it and you want someone to join you. And what I would say to that is anyone who is told to do something, it's a natural thing to be like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So just keep going towards the path. And then I think the harder version of that is you're going in a great direction. And then maybe someone close to you is almost kind of tearing you down and like critiquing. I think that's the tougher conversation, the tougher moment.
Not being supportive.
Yeah, like almost being the opposite. And again, there is some kind of thing that happens that's just a natural thing because, you know, we've talked about vibration, frequency, things like that all the time. But if you're used to, 2 people are used to being at a certain frequency and they're hanging out here and one changes, the other person's like, whoa, what's going on here? They just want you to come back to where they were because that's where you connected before. So
they don't know how to go up.
They don't know how. And so
it's new and change can be scary.
Exactly. So it's just this uncharted territory. And again, to circle back to the first thing I said, like keep making it about you, keep walking the path and like trust that that's going to happen. But you know, that is tough. But also in those moments, find the people who do support you, who do see you to continue on that.
Monica, you're radical. You leave his
I have
ass.
actually a lot of things to say. There's like I have 2 sides to the coin basically. But I just want to say, if this is someone that, if you're listening and this is someone, if you're experiencing what we're talking about, and maybe you're married to someone and you've been married to them for like, 25 plus years, and you're newer on this journey, and you have just so much like resonance with living a mindful life and making these quantum leaps and healing your past wounds, and your partner is like not about it. I have so much just compassion to what you're going through, because that to me would be nails on a chalkboard. Like that's so difficult to be so excited and to want to grow and to have someone to want to grow with. So if I were in those shoes, the only thing I would do is what you're saying, is just focus on you. And from an energetic standpoint, the more you shift and change and increase your frequency, anyone in your field, especially in your like household, your intimate household, automatically is going to shift. It's really just a matter of time before it manifests, basically. So this is what we see a lot. And I mean, even with my parents, like my mom was, so when I first learned about all this stuff, I was that person that you were talking about at the beginning. Hey, come with me, this thing, everyone. I was one of those people, Matt's whole family, let's go. And my mom was like my first pupil, basically, that she was like,
shout out Vicky,
making all the changes and doing all the things. And my dad was not about it, not about it at all. Like hella resistant. And I think it's also my mom's greatest teacher. Shout out if she's watching, she knows what I'm talking about. We talk about this, that, he's like, coming up against her truths, and that makes her truths even stronger. So that person is going to be definitely your greatest teacher and helping you to grow even more than you would have without that person. So I think that it's intended as well to just trust that this is meant to happen for whatever outcome is there. The other side of it is that I'm really grateful that we met before I kind of learned all this stuff, because when we, can I say?
Absolutely. We've shared it before. Yeah.
When we first discovered these truths, I think I was 26. We weren't married yet, or we just got married.
Mhm.
And we were starting to, grow, learning all these personal growth books and all these things. And I was like, this is my path. Like, I've been waiting my whole life for this, coming from disease and depression and things like that. I'm like, this is the antidote to everything I experience. And Matt was like, like into it.
Yeah.
But then I was taking it continued. And he's like, can we just like chill?
It was like 3 months of nonstop growth. And I'm like, we're in a good spot. We are evolved.
She's grown enough.
Cool.
And then it's like a whole nother curveball in there that's like, this is completely different than what we've been doing. They're very similar, like, oh, this is a next level. I don't know how to get there
Yeah.
necessarily.
And
So
I don't
yeah.
even know if we said, or if I said this, or this was said at all by you, but
I never said
I knew in
said
that
it.
moment,
Yeah.
if he didn't get on board, we probably wouldn't
And
be
I
working. We wouldn't have worked out.
and I knew in that moment, if I didn't get on board, she would leave my ass.
And I actually would have left his
Yeah,
ass.
absolutely. And I was like, she's really hot and laughs at all my jokes, so I'm gonna do whatever she wants me to do.
So
That's a true
me,
story.
like, that's my radical self. I'm revealing myself here, but that's me. It's just like, shit or get off the pot.
You said something about
We love it.
you work on yourself. You guys all said this, work on yourself, vibration begins to shift and change, and then hopefully that expands and extends out. And so we had learned that, a decade ago. We open up our practice in our office a year or so into care. I have a story of 2 women specifically, and this can resonate with a lot of different people. Woman comes in, her husband starts making these changes, and her husband is not on board, not bowdy about it, right? And resistant. And I tell her this, like, hey, just keep focusing on yourself. And what tends to happen is that people around us, they tend to change as well. And she started seeing these massive shifts in her mindset and her, everything in life, right? Her life was getting better. Husband, over the next 6 to 12 months, did not get on board. Those 2 ended up getting a divorce. I'm going to circle back to that. So in my mind, I'm like, shit, maybe this doesn't really work. And maybe like this is causing more damage for, families and relationships. So I didn't think that it was a bad thing, because obviously they weren't meant to be together. And I will actually fast forward. She is now in an amazing relationship with someone else. And so it was all divine, meant to be. But then fast forward a few years ago, another woman, it was like I was having the exact same initial consult, the exact same thing going on several years later. I decided to say the same thing as I shared with that other woman. And lo and behold, 6 months later, the guy that was, in the relationship, he completely shifted everything in his life. He ended up coming into REV, continued to see massive shifts and massive changes. So again, why did one happen the other? That was their path and their journey. But this is what I see over and over again. You start working on yourself, things tend to shift and change around you. So it's just reaffirming, like with that story, like it's not your responsibility, even though they're your partner, even though they're your friend. That's like, that's their life to live. You can only focus on yourself.
And also, I think that before we even come into this life, we choose these people for these exact moments in time. And you say this a lot, Matt, like highest frequency always wins, basically. And I think about my personal journey with my family, who's pretty medical. And in the very beginning, they absolutely thought I was crazy. Like the things that I was doing, barefoot and carnivore diets and all this stuff, they're like, this has medical research in the other direction. And I think about the tenacity that I had about it all. I don't even know if the thing I was doing was the right thing, but the energy and the purpose that I felt doing it was the higher vibration that now it's been like 10 plus years. And now like all my aunts, all my uncles, all my family members are reaching out to me of like, so that thing that you were talking about 5 years ago. And I'm like, got it.
Mhm.
Like, got it.
I do wholly like
Oh, thank
believe in the idea of planting seeds. Like I think that was something that I learned early on, especially in chiropractic school. You're just being exposed to like all these amazing transformative ways to heal, and you just want to scream it off the rooftops and like want everyone to buy in. But again, just the best advice that I got from our mentor as well. It's just like, let people see how you've shifted, how you've changed. And then when they're ready, they know exactly who to go to.
I also wanted to wrap up my parents' story. I didn't say this. My dad is definitely making huge changes.
Different man.
And so this is 15 years after I started planting seeds. And the other day, he'll even ask me something like, "Oh yeah, I just read this story on like coffee enemas. Monica, have you ever even heard of that?" I'm like, "Bitch."
You're getting a text
But
while you're already doing it.
You said bitch.
But you said it.
So I'm just like, yeah, like biggest cheerleader, like cool, like this feels so good, and I feel like we're in the best relationship together we've ever been. But it's a beautiful thing. So everyone has their own timing, and we can't be attached to them changing. It shouldn't change the way you look at them, and it's helped me to just let go and love everyone where they're at and not have an expectation. Like, so that's been one of my greatest teachers.
And that's when we combine part 1 and part 2, that full years later, not getting triggered, that he didn't listen to you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. 100%. Same thing with our stepdad, right?
yeah.
Now, like our stepdad, same
Slow
thing, like for
burn,
years.
yeah.
No, I'm not going to do that. And I was like, hey, did you hear about this? Or did you hear about this in the food? I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
remember 7 years ago, we told you about that. Love you too.
Yeah.
yeah, 100%.
We don't even say it anymore. We're just like,
No,
that's so awesome.
it's so
Hey, you
awesome.
should
It is,
marry.
and there's the full evolution. It's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
can't,
you're
I
just
can't believe I'm
excited
so
for
happy
them.
for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. All right, all good there. Feel good. So, all right. So now to number 3, which is going to be probably a fan favorite and our favorite too, because we want to talk about every time we do this round robin thing. We're evolving human beings. We're always getting into new stuff, and also like remembering old stuff, resonating with certain books, podcasts, audios, shirts, right? Things that we like, styles. And so we want to just share what's going on in our life. And this segment is going to be something called "What's Your Favorite Thing?" What are you
What's your
into?
favorite thing?
Again, working title. But yeah, what's
Nailed it.
Let us know in the comments.
we all thought about different things that we're like really into right now. And again, this could be from a health perspective, a mindset perspective, or just anything really in general. We just want to share it with you guys. So anybody want to lead off?
I guess I will.
Yeah.
I know you were looking at me. I'm hoping you're starting.
Yeah.
I'm like
Yeah, I was
nervous
gonna say,
to hear
let's go.
what you're into right now.
I know. I won't tell you guys what I'm really into.
Yeah.
We know.
Yeah.
And now everyone knows.
yeah,
the
now everybody knows.
implication.
I would say that I actually recently have taken a really big shift. From the winter time, which was more quiet for me, more slow, more inward, and a lot of meditation and a lot of time just resting is what it felt like, to now all of a sudden I'm feeling the call or the need to be a little bit more active. So climbing right now has been huge for me, but with that climbing, you know how it goes. One thing you just feel called to, and you pull that thread and it leads into another thing and another thing, and then here we are. But climbing and moving my body in the spring, and specifically I wanted to give a shout out to this. Brian Scott has these activations that are on YouTube. And I like to do them because I just feel like for me with the meditation, I was going inward. With the activations, I'm not like learning as much anymore. I'm just hearing and receiving. And I feel like that makes a lot of sense for the spring for me. So listening to a lot of activations, doing a lot of climbing, and I like to change up my food pretty radically sometimes whenever I do, just to kind of experiment with myself as well. So I'm actually I was going carnivore for a while, probably last summer, I think it was when it was, and I've slowly transitioned. I'm a big meat girly, but
Now
recently,
she's a salad girly.
You can be both.
I am
Put
both.
meat in
I
that
am both.
salad.
Yeah, I am both. But I just feel like I'm doing a lot of it's not a lot of learning anymore. It's a lot of being and planting seeds for what I'm wanting to feel in my life. So a little bit of a different shakeup.
And before we continue, I wanted to say the whole reason of this is we're all about following your bliss and tuning into your body. So we're just sharing with you our evolution of sometimes we're carnivore, sometimes we want to eat salads. So you don't have to be stuck on one thing. I think the biggest message is if you find something that you're really into, that's the universe tapping the shoulder, pay a little bit more attention to that. So I'll go last. Go ahead.
I can tell you. I can tell everyone what yours is. What you're
You can go
into.
ahead. I mean,
At once. 1, 2.
Pooping.
got it.
Talks about it constantly. No?
I have been pooping more. Thanks for noticing it.
It's hard to pick one thing that I'm
I
into
know.
right now.
I'm actually going to say 2, so if there's 2, go
I got 2.
I have 7. I'm just kidding.
Oh, I listed
Okay, just kidding.
20.
Similar to Erica, just finding new joy and movement and change. For me, I love doing different things all the time, just because I played one sport my whole life, basically baseball and softball, and just I committed my life to that. And ever since I was done, I was like, I want to do anything I want. So I've been really getting back into climbing a little bit more too, running, but then also kind of full circle. We've been playing softball in a softball league, and that's kind of, it's weirdly bringing up some fun like memories and healings to kind of to enjoy. Like,
Full
so
circle.
yeah, like so much of my identity was being a really good baseball and softball player, and I just kind of left that. You know, I've turned my back on it for like 8-10 years, and it's been nice to kind of be connected with that again. So yeah, just like enjoying the seasons of like everything, you know, everything kind of changes for me of what I'm into, and just like honoring that and knowing that that's okay, and the shifts and changes that come with it. And then another thing, which Erica encouraged me to say, even though this is something literally 2 hours ago I got into. So
We roll though.
yeah,
This is
she's like,
so
tell
authentic.
everyone
So
what you've
she's a
learned.
master.
I've listened to 5 minutes of a book.
Got it.
No, something I've always been curious about is actually reversing eyesight. And, you know, I've had glasses for like 10 years, and I'm just curious. I'm like dipping my toes in. I don't know anything about it.
Yet.
But the book I'm reading, it seemed really interesting because it's kind of talking about like your mind and body, not just the anatomical structures of the eye and things that you can do, but you know, I it's one of those things I want to practice what we preach in here, and what I believe is the body can heal. And I've just never directed my focus on my eyesight, and so I'm just working on that and seeing if, you know, I'll keep you guys updated.
I mean, I've met a handful of people that I remember when I was pushing a supplement a long time ago called Protandem. This guy told me he had awful vision, and he started taking it. He's like, I don't need my glasses anymore after like 3 months. And then we were just on the podcast last week with Courtney Carlino, and her vision was starting to go away, and she's been really focusing on receiving that morning sun. She's like, my vision is better than ever. So it's 100% possible.
I support this, and I wholeheartedly believe you can do this. I've heard this from many people. This is something I've kind of dabbled into. I actually don't have anything with my eyes, so it's a curiosity thing. But I've heard from so many people who wear glasses or have contacts. What's it called? Prescription. They have a prescription, right?
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah,
it?
That's what it is.
That when they go back, they have to go to the doctor every so often to check their eyes. And oftentimes, I would say more times than not, their prescription gets stronger and stronger and stronger. So their eyes just become weaker because of that. And there's never an opportunity for them to recalibrate, so to say. So I've heard a lot of successful stories, and I'm very excited for you to explore.
Yeah, and so far in my research, like some people who ended up, you know, weaning off of their glasses, basically, they were naturally doing less screen time, less things that, you know, would strain their eyes, and they were just existing and living like, you know,
What?
just like chilling without like these distractions and things like that. So I think it's like, obviously it's, you know, there is some kind of connection there too, but I mean, that's literally an hour ago. I just got into it. So.
I
Stay
can't wait to
tuned.
see what you look like.
Stay tuned to next month's round robin. And
Yeah, so
what
my
she-
glasses
what
are
we're
off. We'll
into.
see.
You have glasses, yeah.
Me?
Yeah,
Okay.
man.
I have two, and one is like really silly, but I'm going to still say it because I am obsessed with it right now. I was going to do one on sleep, an amazing sleep tip that I'm super into right now, but I'm actually going to save it for our sleep jam sesh that we have coming up. I think we're filming next week on it. And it's going to be fire about insomnia and all the things that you can do. So stay tuned for that one. My first one is actually, again, silly. I am obsessed with this body butter I'm using right now. I was literally putting on this morning, and Matt sent the text about, you know, the script for today, basically. And it was like favorite things. And I'm like wanting to eat this body butter I'm using. And I'm like, this is my favorite effing thing right now.
You can't eat the body
It's
butter,
a
right?
Rocasa vanilla and cocoa one, and we can have like a link for it. And we have like a REV discount code, but it's just so important to like really nourish your skin. Like our skin is our biggest organ, and to put like really quality ingredients on it, it feels so freeing and so beautiful, and so just like really taking care of yourself. And if it smells good and feels good, it's the best thing in the world. So
Yeah.
that's my number one. Number two is actually coming off of the weekend. My favorite thing right now is amazing friends with
So
amazing
sweet.
experiences. We, the girls, did a cabin trip with one of our friends,
Not
Caitlin,
me.
who owns Sunrise. And this is like the first time in probably like 15 years for me that I've been around a group of women that were going out, you know, like spending the night somewhere else, away from your family, that I didn't feel the need to like integrate after the experience, or like no part of it was like, oh, I don't want to be here. Like that is a very rare thing for me to experience in my adult life. Cause like before that, I always had trips with my soccer team. I grew up playing soccer, and like those were my best friends. And like we had so much just resonance because we all had this, like, we're on a team and like working towards something together and just like having so much fun together, never any weirdness. And then being an adult, I'm sure a lot of people can relate that it's kind of hard to find your people, find your friends, especially when you have kids and a partner, and like how do you morph it all together? But to like actually find that again, um, Dr. Mark Hyman posts a lot about, I forgot to get the stat.
Oh, yeah.
It was saying like one of the greatest things for longevity, right, is like connection and actually having like that connection within friends and partners and things like that. But I really thought of like friendship and how important that is and how different I do feel when I have that. So just shout out to the two ladies here and our friend Caitlin. It was just like life-giving, and I think we can all
Can I share
relate.
kind of my theories on that?
Please.
Because it was really, I think all of us had a similar experience. And I think it's a testament to the work that we've all done individually. And then, of course, naturally, we all find each other together. So again,
Vibration
circling back
matches
to that too, of
vibration.
like making it about yourself, and like to feel comfortable within yourself, you're going to find yourself around people that you can feel comfortable with them too. And I think that's what made it really special. I think that's why it was an easeful experience coming back, because you didn't have to turn anything on within you.
Yeah.
You were just you. Everyone was just them. And it was just a beautiful testament to that too. Yeah.
It was like in total flow. Like I feel like the alignment of all of that, like nothing was forced. Sometimes I feel forced almost to go on those trips or to be a part of something like that. And like we said, we get invited a lot to these kinds of things, but it was just like the flow of my life was going in this direction, you guys as well. And we just kept meeting each other on those waves, and it just amplified the experience. So sometimes I think quality friendship is even more important to me than quantity friendship at this point. And that kind of bleeds into what I was saying too. Like in the winter, I was like studying myself, studying other people, like Gene Keys, Zodiac, all this stuff. And then like first weekend of spring, we go on a girls trip, and I'm like, I really got to see you guys.
Yeah.
And again, this is really circling back to everything, but like really the relationships that you have are a testament to the work that you've done. And relationships are so important. Like we're not meant to be here alone. We're meant to have shared experiences. It makes everything more beautiful, and you can experience more beauty and like more enriching experiences when you do the work. Like you feel more connected, and I just love people
I
and
also
relationships.
I love people.
I believe in like the abundance of friends. So, and I say this because for so long, I just didn't feel at home with the people that I was around. So I think a lot of people actually feel the way that I'm saying, as far as like, yeah, I have friends. It's great. But actually, is it true friendship? Is it deep connection? I don't know. And so for me, it was like, I don't think I have that. And to actually be aware of it, and to like trust that the abundance of people, that there's more people out there that like will fit in alignment with me and like in resonance. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I'm just so glad I like stayed the path, as far as like not settling for like a group of friends that I'm like, I mean, we have the same values, but do I feel like I'm jamming with them? And like, do I come home feeling like refreshed? No, it was not that way at all, actually, because I'm so like self-aware and so particular that I'm like, why can't I just not be particular? But this is my journey, my path. So I just want everyone out there to know that they can have that as well. But it takes someone to like share their experience for you to be like, oh, actually, maybe I can have that too. And that's all the unlocking that happens.
And I think I remember there's I feel like a moment that you became intentional about it too. Like you have to have that moment of like stepping back and reassessing things. And then it's cool to see where you're at now.
Yeah.
Like you're very intentional with it.
I think it's important to understand too, it's trial and error. Big time, right? Like you got to learn, you got to know what you don't like to understand what you do like as well.
Yeah.
I feel like I know you two so well, like literally so well. And on this trip, I swear I saw different sides of you, me. Like I feel like I know Caitlin pretty well too, but I was like, that is the cutting edge of this, of like what we are squeezing out of each other is different and changing and evolving, rather than maybe needing to go back into my room and integrating for 5 days and not hanging out with anybody next week. So it was a beautiful experience for me too.
What were you talking about, Mark Hyman? He's referring to like the blue zones, like Okinawa, different parts of Italy and other places, the people that are living to be over 100 years old. And at the end of the day, what they learned, it wasn't the food, didn't come down to the things that we think health is. And again, those things are important. A factor across every single one of those is that they had a very strong community. And that's why I heard that so long ago. It's like, that's why I wanted quantity at first. I'm like, just get a big amount of people and we'll figure it out along the way, which again, trial and error, but it is about those quality relationships.
And that was my teacher. So just for us to be honest about it, he was quantity. And then I'd find myself always being in that quantity often. And I'm like, I don't feel at home. And no matter the work I do, how I go in myself of like this, I'm definitely learning from this experience. Sometimes I feel like it's maybe just you're not at home with certain people, and that's totally okay. But to just trust that maybe it's not this group or whatever that is right now, and maybe this will be later. So yeah.
Oh, I actually just heard this cool thing that you have like your bathtub friends, your jacuzzi friends, and your pool friends.
Who are the bathtub friends?
So like your bathtub is probably your like
Even with.
your spouse.
Multiple friends?
Yeah, like spouse.
Exactly.
But like, you know, the super, super intimate people in your life. And then jacuzzi friends are like kind of the next tier up, you know, like it's an intimate space, but you're like, you know, it's pleasurable. It's really nice and lovely.
Not everyone can fit in the
Not
jacuzzi.
everyone can fit in the jacuzzi, but like more than the bathtub. But then the pool, it's a ton of people. And you're going to do all three of those. But I heard they were just kind of saying like the key to like a sweet spot is just having more jacuzzi friends, you know, just like nice little like, yeah, so jacuzzi friends.
I love jacuzzis. And now I know why.
We know, Erica.
Now I know why.
I always say it's a bath with friends. So
Do you always say that?
Hashtag.
You say that all the time,
say
actually.
that
Almost every day you say
I
that.
literally say it
That's bath
anytime there's a hot
with
tub.
It's a bath with friends.
All right. Okay.
And what are you doing, Matt?
What's my thing? Okay, so I got a couple of things. So yeah, I'm playing softball with Loren. It is bringing up some old stuff, playing sports, and it's also like the team that we're on.
You're having way more fun. You're having so much fun. I've never seen you have
You
this
guys,
much fun.
Last night, so they had a 9:15 game last night, and I'm already in bed when he comes home, and he like gets in bed, and I kind of wake up, and I'm like, oh, how was the game? You know, I'm kind of half asleep. He was like, it was good. You know, we won at the very end. I was so fast, Monica.
No,
Loren
literally,
and Matt and Brian.
I didn't
came
say
up
it
to
like
me.
that.
I ran to third base so fast, and I'm like sleeping, and I'm like, so awesome.
That is not how it was
Hold on.
presented
Hold on.
in bed.
Wait, first of all, he was very fast. So I got you on
I
that.
was very fast.
And also, I do the same thing to Erica. I'm like, oh my God, honey, I made the
I'm
best
like,
throw.
Did you just turn the lights on?
This one catch, like everyone was like cheering me on. I was like, I'm so, you know, you're just excited.
Yeah,
you're like,
you're so
oh
jazzed.
man.
Yeah, totally
I would just
get
like to
it.
tell the audience I was not going to say anything, but she had woken up. She's like, well, how was the game? How was it? And I said something. Then she said something else. And
I'm
then
so
I
sweet
said,
by
so
asking.
sweet. She's like, oh, that's so awesome. I wasn't
don't
like,
do
I was
that.
so fast. I did not act like that for the record.
Well, you kind of were, and it was not a bad thing.
Well,
it was
you did.
hilarious.
At least we know it's true, though. I got it back in that.
You give me a play-by-play on everybody else but you.
Why I'm sharing this is that I've been playing softball and I've been playing basketball more frequently. And like Loren said earlier, like playing sports was my identity for so long. And then for a long time after chiropractic school, after we were done playing softball and like chiro games and all that stuff, like I used to play flag football all the time. Like for the last 8-9 years before this, like I've kind of stopped that, and it's been okay. I've gotten into other things like cross or whatever, but to me, there's nothing like sports. Like I feel like I love sports. Like I like watching it, even though we haven't even watched it all that often with our family. Like sports were so a vital part of my life, and like being out there, it's bringing up stuff. Like I texted or I called my dad. I'm like, Dad, I feel like I'm 21 years old again. Like I'm out there, and like when I'm playing basketball or I'm playing, you know, softball, it's just like I start talking like I used to. Like I talk a little smack, and not in a mean way, but just in a loving way.
You're a smack
where
talker.
You want him on your team.
You want me on? You
Yeah, you
definitely
don't
want
wanna
me on
play
your team.
against it.
You don't want to play against me because
Yeah,
I'll
it's an
get.
asset.
It's like I'll get in your head. It's just
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like to get in people's head, but
Yeah.
I'm never an a-hole. But I'm just like, you know,
Penetrate their mind.
Exactly.
Yes.
I was like, it's all this mindset stuff that I
He
got.
doesn't even let me bowl. He's like, oh, if you get a strike, you'll win.
It's more like,
Welcome to my childhood.
it's
Yes,
more like,
I know.
if
I
you
was
did a
there.
strike, you got this. Yeah, great to go. Yeah. So
you
it's,
got this.
yeah.
Yeah, easy.
So you never know I'm being a jerk.
Yeah.
I'm just like to talk.
We
But
know.
it-
I was on the
everybody
sidelines with
knows.
you. It's maybe not the same way you're talking to Monica.
And to me, it might not sound significant to anyone else, but like it's bringing out chemicals in me. Like I feel leaner, I feel faster, I feel stronger, I feel more clarity. So it's like there's something there for me. So it's like I'm following this bliss. And like again, I was playing basketball for a while, and then I stopped. And now that I got back into it, I feel like I have more testosterone. My body's just feeling better.
I've always thought this too, because we both we all played in college, and like I think back to my
We all but
except for Erica, yeah.
I'll
We
be
all.
included in this. Thanks for including me.
But I think back to like my collegiate athlete self, and I'm like, if the tools, I wish I knew the tools that I had now. And so it's kind of like a cool moment to experience, like, okay, now I have these tools on, athletic and recovery, but also mindset and like all these different things, and we get to like play that out. I think that's just so important. And like recreation, it's just important, like having fun and
having fun.
Yeah.
Going all out too.
And then I'll share my other thing that I'm into, which everyone's making fun of me about, but they're not
Let me
really
guess,
making
let me
fun
guess,
of me.
let me guess.
Monica made a joke. She's like, I'll lead into it. It's a very funny joke. Lauren
it was that funny.
It was
I think
actually
it's
very
the
funny.
funniest thing I've ever heard
She's
in my
like-
life.
She said, if we had our wedding now, I think Matt's best man would be AI. Because obviously ChatGPT, Grok, all these AIs have come out the last year in the beginning, and we're like, oh, that's cool. You can ask a question and it pulls stuff. But like the advancement of AI is getting crazier and crazier and crazier. And I don't know why, but there is something within me. It almost feels like Mickey Singer in the Surrender Experiment. Mickey Singer, he created this like website that eventually became like WebMD. I believe that if I'm saying that story, it's something like that. It was like a database, but he was in the 80s learning about computers. They just got presented to him, and he's like, oh, what's this? And his surrender experiment was like, just something comes in your life, just say yes to it, learn more, follow your bliss. And that's what this feels like. I think about the internet, I think about computers in general, email. It's like technology is always advancing, and eventually like everyone comes to it. But like AI right now, it's like, not that. Like there's a lot of like resistance towards it, but technology always advances. So for me, I have this like calling to like learn more about it. And the biggest piece I want to share is that what I've gotten from it is that if we can utilize AI correctly and we don't let it use us, right? Because there is that balance of like what the future is going to look like. If we can do things with AI and save an hour, that's an hour more of your life that you get to live. And like, that's what we're all here for. We're not here to work. We're not here to create, an email and send out, create images and do stuff like we do on our back end for the podcast and all that stuff. But if we can take something like an AI and like collapse that time, like we get to live more. So I'm in a place now where like, we're going to move into a time in life where anyone can know or learn anything in an instant. And so it's really about like fine tuning what that is for us and what we want to utilize for Rev. And so like, that's what I'm into. And every day I'm like,
Every day.
Every day.
Every day there's a text that has AI in it
15
multiple
texts.
times.
Did you guys see
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I'm
All
learning
day, all
and
night.
and they read
All morning.
He blew us up.
I was like, bro.
135 messages.
Our
all
other friends saw
about
my
it.
phone and they were like, why did Matt text you that many times?
Yeah,
And I'm
work
like, this
done.
is actually a usual day.
I don't know if it's Matt or AI texting me.
Well, then I was just looking at SEO stuff, I'm being really real with people. Like, I think that what we do is really amazing. I think everyone in Chattanooga needs this. And so I was looking up like, hey, who are the best chiropractors in Chattanooga? And we didn't come up on that list. And I was like, okay, AI, tell us why, because we have 300 plus Google reviews. Why do we not show up? It's like, oh, actually, because you don't show up as chiropractors online. You show up as a wellness center or functional medicine. That's more what people do. I'm like, oh, that's weird. Okay, how can we fix that? And then we're just learning stuff about SEO. So like, that's little stuff that's applicable and practical. That's what I'm doing with AI and travel, which is really cool to learn about as well. So yeah. All
I
right.
also think that people are scared of AI. Like I actually just took a survey yesterday for an affiliate opportunity, thank you, that I have. And it was actually asking like, what do you feel about AI? Like do you have fears about it? Like it was actually like, it's like a checkbox thing. I don't have any fears about it, but I remember when it first came out, I've heard from a lot of people that they're like scared about it. And so
Because
I asked Matt
It's
the other
new, yeah.
It's new, yes. But I asked Matt the other day, like, like, it's so amazing. Like, there's so many opportunities with it. What's like the downside? And he was like, well, eventually, like, you could be brainwashed by it or like manipulated by it. And I think the important thing about this is to really stay connected to like yourself, that you know your truth, that if that happens, like you'll know in an instant if you're being manipulated. I really think that's an important component with this coming out.
When it was first coming out, we were talking to our mentor, Dr. Suki, about it. And I was like, I'm feeling really called to learn more about it, but I'm unsure. And he had an immediate answer that made so much sense to me. This artificial intelligence is a tool. Learn the tool, use the tool. Just like if someone, email came several years ago, like, nah, I'm going to keep sending letters in the mail, or nah, I'm just going to keep, doing it the old way. Like, you would be obsolete. So you have to learn these things. But then he's like, there's another AI, the ancient intelligence. And so it's really balancing using the AI as a tool, but then remembering to go in, because we have this so much wisdom within us. And that's really where we can blend the two in a beautiful way.
I am hearing all about AI too on a completely different spectrum also from you, but there was somebody saying this. They were saying that like even before computers, even before books were wrote, there was information in the field, and now we just have access to that information in the field. Like at one point the computer was, it took 20 minutes to upload something, and it was like a really slow process. However, that information, that frequency was always accessible. It's just our human mind can now access it really, really quickly. And I think about my journey with the ancient wisdom too. Like I would read books upon books upon books of like, what were they doing in ancient Egypt? What is longevity? What is vitality? And learning all this stuff. And it would take me months. And then AI came out, and literally it took me a month to learn all the things that I would have learned anyways, asking the right questions. And now I'm like, oh, this is just information, and it's just coming really quickly.
Yeah, totally. All right, that wraps up our favorite things.
Okay, wow. Okay.
So we've been chatting for a while. I got two more. I think I'm gonna skip the sun tips one.
Okay,
Yeah, we're
yeah,
gonna skip that. There is a blog on our website about real quickly, like, how do you describe it? Like wearing proper sunwear, not wearing too much sunscreen all the time, accepting it, like give them the overview. But to read it on our website, it's got tons of amazing tips on there. Is there any like one little piece that you want to say about it?
Now is the time where people are starting to go outside. They've been inside all winter. I think we shared this earlier months ago, that being outside in the winter is really crucial for our hormones, circadian rhythms, like everything. So now people are going outside now. And so now is the time to just be really mindful of your sun exposure and the way that you're getting it and any fears around it, because it's misunderstood. I would say it's one of the greatest assets in our life if it's used properly. And so this blog goes over the benefits of the sun, how to get the sun, but also how to be mindful and honoring of the sun's power, basically.
Power, yeah.
To not be afraid of it. And I think it's definitely misunderstood, and a lot of companies have capitalized on the fear that has put out about the sun. That way we're always wearing sunglasses, we're always wearing sunblock, so we're actually not receiving the powerful benefits of the sun in the way that we're designed to. And it's so amazing for all the things I said earlier, hormones, nervous system regulation, circadian rhythms, all these things. So that blog is fire.
Yeah, and it's not to not ever use sunscreen. Yeah, there's going to be times you definitely want to use sunscreen.
Like you're going on spring break, you're going to the beach and you haven't had the sun in like 6 months. Yeah, maybe that's the time to use clean sunscreen.
Clean, exactly. Because the other ones in the blog, we talk about all the chemicals and all this stuff. And it's like you put too much of that stuff on your body. Like, you're blocking the harmfulness of excess sun rays, but what are you putting inside of your body? The largest organ.
And then you're also putting it into the ocean when you swim. And that's really bad for the ecosystem in the ocean with those chemicals, not only for your own body, but our environment.
So definitely go on revoptimalliving.com.
Or Sun Goddesses and God.
blog.
Sun
Okay, so final round robin thing that we're going to talk about is really the question of so many people, question of the day,
century.
Question of the decade, at least, because we have not been around for 100 years, at least, 9.5 years.
Have we not?
Nice try, Monica. That we know of. So obviously, obviously, people that are in this office, they know. People that aren't in this office and maybe have never experienced a session, maybe you don't know, but maybe you've kind of figured it out along the way and been implied. We do not do the traditional pop and crack osseous adjustment that 99% of chiropractors do, and we are not the only chiropractors that do this style or something more gentle in the body. There's a lot of amazing chiropractors do similar work, or maybe slightly a little bit different, working with the tone of the nervous system, the energetics. But a question we get all the time, and we just got it from a guy again the other day, like, why don't you crack? Why don't you pop?
Do you ever have the urge
do you ever
to
have the
crack?
Yeah, absolutely. So like, we want to just answer like
We
our
just laugh
We're
about
holding it back every
And,
time.
like,
I want
I'll
to
sh-
so bad.
It's like a sneeze.
no, gentle.
Can't
gentle.
do
We're laughing about it, but like, I definitely, and I'll share it in a little bit, like I came from that place of like former athlete, former baseball player. I liked the pop. A lot of people don't like the pop. So for me to get to this point of not doing it, something had to happen along the way. So like, I think we should just jam about it a little
This
bit.
feels like it should be a whole other episode.
It is,
Yeah.
but it is, and this will
Let's
be the
go
last
brief,
thing.
and then we'll do a whole one on it.
This will,
Yeah,
this
I
will,
like that, yeah.
and I think we've already talked about it a little bit, but this will be a nice segment to add to. We can short clip it, but yeah, why don't we crack? Why don't we pop? And also, we do have a blog coming out on this that we're finalizing.
It is
That's gonna,
fire.
if you're a visual, learner and want to read about it, it's gonna come out soon.
I mean, I love this topic. I love chatting about it with people too, because I was all about it in chiropractic school. It made sense to me. We're like, bones out of alignment. We pop it back. Body functions better because the spine's so important, right? The spine's housing the spinal cord, all these peripheral nerves telling the body what to do, and the brain connection all made sense. But my one hang up and one problem was we pop it, we put it back in place, and then a day later, boom, it goes out again. And we pop it, we put it back. And it's just like, that's one way to do it. It's one way, but it didn't feel like a long lasting change. And, and sure, it feels good. It releases like these endorphins. You can hear it, you get that release, and then it goes right back.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was kind of like what that question is what led me into this technique of what we do. And it's like, well, are we really integrating that tension, right? It's not just the bone sitting there by itself out of alignment. It's connected to the muscles and the fascia and the relationship to the other anatomy in your body. And so you have to look at it holistically. You have to look at the entire structure to make those changes. And then another step further is me making a change to you isn't going to be as long lasting as your body making the change. So let's maybe work with that.
Cue the
Work
sound
with
effect.
work with that AI, ancient intelligence, like within your body, and facilitate the healing to happen. And that's true integration. That's true alignment in your spine, because now you're not, you still have that tension in the beginning. And then when you're integrating, naturally, your body wants to reorganize. And so you get that same longer lasting alignment. Every now and then, do I have the urge to crack and pop somebody? No. Like maybe, like honestly, sometimes, right? There's certain patterns in the body that we'll dive into that we're feeling like maybe it needs a more of an umph, but it's 5 to 10% of the
Smaller
time.
percentage
And on a personal level, I used to get cracked and popped all the time. And it feels so good. And then 5 days later, I had got that itch. I need to get cracked again. And then it feels so good. And then I got that itch. Like, and honestly, a lot of people probably know what that feeling's like. I haven't had that itch in years, because my body's holding it. My body's integrating it. My body is different. It's not needing to be dependent on that outside in kind of thing. And again, not to knock traditional chiropractic. I love all chiropractic, and all those techniques have a beautiful place and serve a lot of people. This is just a way that is in more alignment for me.
I wish we didn't zip tie these mics, because I would love to just take it off and drop it. That was perfectly
Yeah,
said.
that was an
Perfectly
amazing
said.
answer. So when I first got exposed to chiropractic, I actually helped open an office when I was 21, and it was traditional chiropractic office. Racking and cracking sounds like a ridiculous way to say it. You know what I mean? Osseously adjusting the body. That's what this person
No
was
one knows
doing.
what that means.
No one
though.
knows
It's like
Osseous
popping.
the
crack.
bones.
You mean,
know rack and
you mean
crack.
snap,
Yeah, no rack and
yeah.
crack.
Snap, crackle, pop. Yeah, I got it.
They were snap, crackling, and popping. Yes. And that was kind of my first exposure at chiropractic. But what I loved about that office so much was just the intention and the mission behind it, of like what you were saying, that when the bones go back in place, the whole nervous system functions better. And I'm like, I can get down with that. That felt like an instant truth for me, especially growing up, the complete opposite of not knowing my body healed itself and all these things. This office did the racking and cracking, but also weights even on like,
Whoa.
let's say that your shoulders were off and your neck was reverse curved, then they would put weights on your head, on your shoulders, and make you do exercises and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, like I have a reverse curve. I had a reverse curve from all my soccer injuries and stuff like that. So, I mean, I did intensive stuff, you guys, like sometimes every day, intensive work on my neck, my whole body, weights. It was like a lot. And the crazy part is that 6 months later, my x-rays actually got worse.
Yeah.
And to me, I was like, WTF? Like, that's crazy. And that was I kind of put a pin in it. And I was like, I understand there's something here for me. And I want to go to school myself to be a chiropractor to support people. Again, I love the mission. I love the intention. I love the vision of what this is for people's lives. But something's out of place. Like you were saying, I put it back in place. Why does it just go right back out? Halfway through school is when I learned about tonal and working with the energy of the nervous system. And when it made sense to me, when you help align the nervous system itself, the body will automatically align the bones, the muscles, the tissues, the fascia, all the things. And that's sustainable. And that made instant truth made so much sense to me. And at first it's all theory. You're like, okay, this sounds
Cool
great.
idea, yeah.
But then you actually have to work with people's systems, have it done to yourself to actually like see if it works. And it does.
It's hard. It is hard to conceptualize because that's just not our culture to be like, oh, take time and honor the nervous system and then it'll do it. That's just not. It's
I ain't got
fix
time
it
for that.
now.
Or believing something outside of you is going to do the healing.
Right.
I
But
think
we
that's-
see it, I mean, all the time. Like people who start with their shoulders who come in right here and over time they start to naturally drop because, again, people are like, oh, my muscles are tight. Well, what's controlling your muscles? Being in a constant stressed out fight or flight state, your nervous system is like, we need our muscles to be tight in case something happens. So it's like getting the nervous system involved. We see the shoulders start to drop down. I remember this one woman had like severe scoliosis when she went face down on the table. Her legs were veered to one way. And then over time, naturally started to balance. You know, I didn't force it into that balance, but she didn't need to hold that tension pattern anymore.
We've talked about this a lot with like the experience, right? Like you have to experience something to be able to like understand it. So everything we're talking about is theory. I'm laughing at, and I want you to go after this, Erica. I'm laughing at the people that will go through this process and they come in and they have pain and they have other stuff, right? And a lot of times this happens, like the pain doesn't necessarily go away after 30 days or 60 days. It's better, but they still maybe deal with stuff here and there. Could they get popped and feel better? Absolutely. And maybe sometimes we could do that for them and maybe they go to chiropractor and do that. But if that's the case, then and this is a small percentage, but I'm just thinking about a handful of people, why do those people stick around? If their pain's still there, and why do they stick around? It's because other things in their life have changed so dramatically. They're like don't even care about that little bit of elbow pain anymore, right? Like we don't.
They thought it was the elbow pain, but
Yeah.
it was really their mental state that they've gotten into
Because of it.
that
Yeah.
increased inflammation in the body, that increased pain, and all of that.
And it's just like, for me, it's like, why don't we crack and pop? We can, and I can be that Band-Aid for you and you'll feel good. And, you know, there's a woman actually too that I'm saying elbow pain, like she's had a transformation and every once in a while I will adjust her elbow and it feels good. And then like 3-4 weeks later, that elbow pain will kind of come back. She's got some other stuff she's dealing with, but like, why don't we crack and pop and do that is because the way that we got taught to work with the medium of the nervous system and create coherence, like that is life changing, right? Your elbow hurts or doesn't hurt, not going to change much. But if you don't react to your family, you don't have stress and anxiety all the
you
time.
have more
Like
joy, more energy,
that's
less
the
fatigue.
stuff. That's the stuff right there.
And then naturally, you're not going to be holding on to those. That you're not going to have the same pain
I
patterns.
think then you're more connected to yourself and you can ask bigger questions. Actually, why does my elbow always hurt after this one encounter with my boss? Then you can, you know what I mean? There's always a reason for everything.
100%.
And the answers are there.
I was going to say too, it's awesome to me when people, I think, first come in and maybe they go see a regular chiropractor and maybe they see us coinciding. And I remember whenever I was in school, this really made sense to me where with the nervous system, it's so infinite. I can't tell you in 2 days, 2 weeks, your back pain's going to be gone. And if I just focused on your back pain, the finite piece of that, how much of a disservice am I doing to the rest of your body in the areas where this is course correcting and compensating? But I loved popping and cracking in school. It was like I wanted
It's your personality.
I loved it. Like I was like, I loved it. I actually, it's hard to believe I'm not doing that today.
And can I
But
say one
both
thing?
of
It is so, like, I want to make sure everyone knows, and Lauren said it, it's not poo-pooing
Yeah.
on that. Like, what the chiropractors that do that, it's no different than a massage therapist that helps someone out of pain. Like, that is needed in this world. So, like, really giving credit to those people. So it's just the 1%
totally.
shift.
I
Yeah,
appreciate
yeah,
that.
yeah.
What I was going to say though is I think it's really interesting because I loved that. I loved those really big impulses. And then I learned this tensegrity tonal model, like mechanical, kind of what Monica was saying, the pop and crack, and tonal, looking at the tone or the whole system. And I would want to pop and crack these people. Like they would come in and I'd see them and I would start doing our tonal thing because it opened up the body, put the nervous system in a parasympathetic state. And then I'd be like, all right, where am I popping and cracking? And before, when it used to take me like my whole body, I'm pretty small, to pop or crack somebody, now I'd be like, oh, it already went. And
I gave someone a hug the other day after their session. I just came like that and went,
It's just like naturally.
She's like, oh.
but I think it's like the body wants to always be reorganizing. And for me, it was becoming more of a disservice for me to tell people like, come to me and I will fix this finite piece of you, where I actually have no idea what your nervous system is going to unwind. And that is more of the ride we're on today. It's just a different way of looking at the body. And there's different things that work in different places and different times for people. But for me, I tried the pop crack method for myself and I tried to do it a lot for other people. And at the end of the day, life, I guess you could say, just kept throwing me back in this direction. And now we see people where they'll go see their traditional person or whatever it is, and they no longer need to get popped or cracked, or their scans, like the finite scan, all of a sudden is not reading the same. And we didn't even pop or crack them. We didn't do anything like that, but their body knew what to do. And with that, I'm like, that is a lifelong skill where you can actually trust and rely on the regulation process within yourself. I want that.
The perfect archetype I can think of who would like benefit from this, if you've gone to a traditional chiropractor and it's like, I can't get that one to move. Like, you know, it didn't go. That was like a very common thing. Like, did it go? Whenever you went to get that pop or crack in and it didn't go, it's because your system is so like, don't touch me. It is like, please do not do this. And then if you do get it to go from that place, do you think that's like really good for your body to receive something from a place of, you know? So like that person, and I actually had a client early on who has been to traditional chiropractors for 10 plus years, had like, no one can crack me. No one can crack me. I was like, well, me either. But face down. And after one session, she's like, I've never felt this good in my body in my entire life, because her system wasn't needing that big force. It was needing a gentle accessing and unwinding, you know, and that's a lot of people.
I really like that. You talk about this a lot, and I want you to kind of
probably
talk about
about
how chiropractic came to be.
That's what I
Okay,
was
go
gonna say.
ahead. You're better at it than me.
Okay, here we go. This made a lot of sense to me. When chiropractic was founded, it was the late 1800s into the early 1900s. What was going on during that time? Life was a little different than it is today, right? Especially in the early 1900s, and 1800s, war, right? There's a certain energy, vibration, and density of that time. Like, just think about people at war. It's like close, compact. They don't care about going out and frolicking for, you know, berries or whatever like that, especially during that time. That's an awful example, but you get what I'm trying to say. So the adjustment during that time was very forceful to break up all of that, you know, density within the system. So that makes sense. But now we fast forward, we're not in that time necessarily for, you know, most of the world, right? We have screens that have also affected, you know, the way that our energy, vibration, and frequency is. Our systems are much more sensitive than they ever have been. And this is why this gentle approach can be so impactful and powerful, because we have evolved as human beings. And like, I always think about too, like when someone asks like, how is this gentle, you know, process make a change? I'm like, some of the most powerful things in the world are things that you can't even see, and things you can't necessarily touch. Like when someone loves you, what does that do to you? It moves you, right? Someone says something nasty and negative, that'll move you also as well. So like, our systems are so sensitive that this gentle guiding, and that's what started this whole process. I got adjusted by Dr. Suki on that trip, and I saw him doing it to other people. I'm like, this freaking guy, freaking
He was
weird.
like, that's so weird.
That's like a
Stay
quack
away,
right there.
Monica.
That guy's and shout out Suki, I love
Monica's
you.
the first one on the table.
I was
I'll sign up.
I was all into it.
And then he did his thing. touched me firm, but gentler than I had been used to getting an adjustment. And I felt stuff moving. And I, for some reason in that moment, was open. I was open to something different. And I also knew, maybe subconsciously, my wife's into this. So I got to get along the ride.
I have an example of this that is really powerful. So I grew up, again, with the neck stuff from soccer, really bad migraines in my teens, early 20s and stuff like that. And there was always this point, I don't even know how often it happened, where like my occiput, which is where the bottom of your skull sits, basically where it meets your spinal column. So right above the first bone in your spinal column, your occiput. And it would always like hurt me. And I would get these huge migraines and I would just be like, oh my gosh. And I would have Matt adjust that area, move the bones, crack my skull, basically. And I feel like I really needed that. And it would probably happen every few weeks.
Every week.
And this is a shout out to Suki because he's the one who really has supported us with this process because it's very different from how most people practice. And you can't really find many people who really stick to it. You know what I mean? It's just rare. It's rare.
It's hard to translate it to the real world, right? To communicate it to people to use the service. The other form is easier to share.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so we were actually on vacation with Suki and his family, and it happened again. And Suki had told Matt, he was like, "Don't do it.
Don't do it, bro.
Don't crack the occiput. Just like let it be, especially if it's all the time kind of thing." Let the body process through it. And I was like so mad. I'm like, oh, but I need it. Like I'm in so much pain, blah, blah, blah. And I knew the answer was not to do it. So like I just sat there and like meditated and let my body process through it. It kind of took a couple days for it to move through my body. But it has never freaking happened again since that moment in that way. That's also the power of honoring your body. If you're doing all the right things to help regulate your nervous system and there's a pattern with like the bones and stuff like that, like it will go back into place. If we just give it so much attention and we want it fixed right away, that's when it just sticks around. And that's when it's an issue basically. So that was just a really cool story again for me to be like, this works. This absolutely works.
Love it. Everyone feeling good?
Again, we could just
We'll
go
do a
on
whole-
about that
yeah,
topic,
I mean, I
but
could
we
say
should
so
wrap
much,
it up.
but let's do a whole session on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a beautiful conversation, guys. Any last remarks you guys want to say about anything at all?
No, I think
Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
Thank you for following us. Like we're so excited about these jam sessions, these podcasts. Like it has just been, it fills us with life. And so thank you for being here. And if you ever have any questions for us or topics you would love us to cover, we would love to hear from you. So
We love hearing from
we're
you
available
guys.
for that.
And like we got these mics, we have a carpet here, we have the lights being shaded. Like we want to be better. Like we're doing this because we want to add more value, and like that's just not our nature to just kind of put out something poor of quality. So if the audio is better, please let us know. If the video looks good, please let us know. If the content is better, let us know. If it sucks, also let us know.
Don't worry about that. Keep that in.
No, tell us because we want to be better. So
Just be gentle.
say it nicely.
If we're triggered, it's on us.
That's on you. But that one's on you though. But yeah, guys, we really hope you found value with it. And if you did, again, comment, please please share with a friend that could benefit from, learning some of this information. And until next time, we hope you guys have a wonderful day.